Gen Z, what is up? What is up? I am your host, Sadiq Spears, and it is not a podcast. It is a show. It is a show where we give you the most pertinent topics pertaining to Gen Z, whether that's in politics, business, or cultural issues. I want y'all to be able to be perceptive to build perspective. Okay, we are hosted on a Perspective Network. If you haven't checked us out on Instagram, we're hosted on the YouTube as well, so you can check us out there. And man, we got a slew of topics for y'all today. Beautiful topics. And we got a lot of stuff to get into. First, we're starting off with JD Vance hosting Charlie Kirk show and a little bit of the Charlie Kirk conversation that's been going around post his tragic death. And in addition to that, the founding of the killer. So I don't really have too much more to say than I said last episode. So you haven't checked out this segment, go watch that segment. That was a great segment. And I just wanted to, notice that I saw JD Vance on Turning Point, Charlie Kirk's show. He hosted it. In addition to that, they've now appointed Charlie Kirk's wife to the Turning Point CEO position, which is also interesting. But I just see a little bit of, Republicans being able to not capitalize off of this, but utilizing this platform to gain more support, and maybe more, but it feels like a lot of that is to gain more support and be able to talk about politics and talk about the left, not necessarily just talk about mourning a political figure, but whatever. And I just wanted to touch on some of the response that I got during my show, and the clips that I put out. The common conversation is like, yo, you could tell this kid just watched the clips and doesn't know none of the context. Man, I don't understand. I be thinking, like, how much do you want me to see in order to be able to surmise an opinion? Because I've been watching Charlie Kirk since I was 15, 14. I've watched hour-long videos and been able to surmise an opinion 4 years ago, let alone now after more and more years of content that I've had to see. So it's just like, I hate that point, because it's just like, I feel like people are able to surmise an opinion, especially off of a couple of articles, a couple of videos, one video, maybe not a 20-second clip, but I ain't no 20-second clip guy. I like to watch long-form content. So that just wasn't a refutable point for me. And if points were made that were refutable, I just don't feel like people know who Charlie Kirk was. Like, that's a common point made to me, but I'm like, I don't think people really know what Charlie Kirk was and what he used to say. He used to say wild shit. So I just don't understand why that was like a common point of like, or people just taking them out of context. No, I feel like I have all the context I needed. Okay. Jimmy Kimmel got deplatformed, canceled, cancel culture. ABC has taken down Jimmy Kimmel's show off of a monologue that he said regarding Charlie Kirk, and I would definitely be playing it. But as I just wanted to get this joke off, but it's not really a joke. But ABC really giving Jimmy Kimmel the Kyrie Irving shakedown. They said, listen, if you want to come back, public apology, 1. Number 2, we need a donation, a significant donation. They might not say significant, but we need a donation, a charitable donation to whatever, that our foundation of the choosing. But we need that public apology and we need that donation, and I call it the Kyrie Irving shakedown. Okay, a little joke, but it is definitely serious. The conversation around censorship. Is Jimmy Kimmel being censored? Is the left being censored? I think I don't want to take the position that this is not cancel culture. This is cancel culture. And it's sad that this is like when the rabbit got the gun, because I was against cancel culture at the time when we were doing this to mad people that sometimes didn't deserve it and sometimes did deserve to be canceled. And a big conversation about hate speech has been arise out of this, because you would think that conservatives want to go against the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel because of cancel culture, but no, this is a thing. Now, do I think Sinclair or ABC? Do I think ABC took down Jimmy Kimmel's show out of cancel culture, and that's infringing upon his First Amendment right? I don't think so. Why are you going to ask me that? Is because, listen, private companies are able to do what they want to do, right? Like ABC, Sinclair, ABC's local television networks are owned by Sinclair. A lot of them are owned by Sinclair and Nexstar. And they own a bunch of local TV stations. So they are affiliates of ABC. If they have that pull to say, hey, we're going to pull his show from our programming, and ABC, if you don't pull it, then we're going to have some problems as well, they're going to have to pull that. That is how businesses work. The same conversation that we had when it came to Andrew Tate and being deplatformed, YouTube, TikTok, and Meta might say, hey, we don't want this guy on our platform because we keep getting calls that we do not want to platform this guy if he hates women. Not saying he does. I'm just saying if that's the cause that's being if that's the cause that's being had to those shareholders or those companies. So them deplatforming Andrew Tate, you could be okay with because that is a private company saying we don't want to platform him. This is the same situation. These are private companies, ABC and their affiliates Sinclair and Nexstar, saying we do not want to platform Jimmy Kimmel off of what he said. Now, let me play what he said.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. You can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
So that was that point, that Trump clip was a funny clip because obviously he just completely sidestepped that question after he just made a little line. Now, the point of contention, I think, is there's 2 points of contention. That Trump clip, first of all, and then the second clip, when he said he's one of yours, MAGA, or the MAGA gang. Dicey rhetoric. When you are owned by a private company, they have their own interests. They might be conservative. So if they're not going to like what you're saying and they don't value that money that you bring, you might be gone. And to be honest, that is a little bit of dicey rhetoric when you say MAGA gang and then you say he's one of yours, MAGA, and nobody knows that to be true. He might be conservative, but one of yours, MAGA, is dicey rhetoric for a TV host. It's true. So am I mad that maybe he got deplatformed? I never watched Jimmy Kimmel's show. Am I surprised? No, because this is what happened to Andrew Tate. Now, when people talk about infringement of the First Amendment, freedom of speech, I don't think that's an infringement of that. That is private companies saying we don't want your show. Now, when the FCC, Federal Communications Committee, chair steps in and says, hey, we might have to look at this a little bit further when people are criticizing Charlie Kirk and X, that is the state coming in. That right there might be an infringement of the First Amendment of the freedom of speech. And I will play the clip from Brandon Carr, who was the chair of that committee.
When you look at the conduct that has taken place by appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible, frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Yeah, that right there is a threat from the FCC. That might be an infringement of our First Amendment right, or Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment right, to go and say that. That right there might be a problem for America. Let's get that straight. Yeah, we've had onslaught of lawsuits. We've had onslaughts of lawsuits. We had onslaught of kind of like media takedowns from the state. But this right here got a show canceled. This I'm not saying the state got its show canceled, but if the state had a hand in it, that's crazy. And especially if President Trump, who was mad and was happy, who was mad at the time about the Charlie Kirk stuff and the clip, but then happy that he's been deplatformed or may have had a hand in Jimmy Kimmel being deplatformed, that is definitely a problem. And everybody should be worried about that because there's a reason why it is the First Amendment. The First Amendment. And although even Charlie Kirk said that that all speech should be protected, and I'm I do think that speech has consequences. Don't get me wrong, but the consequences do not come from the state. Those consequences come from the people and private companies who employ you. Do I think most companies should be mad about people's political opinions? Not really. Not really. I don't think that if I worked at a bank and they were like, yo, I worked at a bank and I said some political opinion or whatever, I should not be fired. But granted, if I go on my platform and go da da da, and this is hurting the private company's interests, I might have a problem with my employment or my job. And that is what Jimmy Kimmel is going through. And to be honest, I think the biggest problem with this is that we typically can't talk politics in general on a day-to-day with everyday people. If I'm at the workplace, it's very taboo to talk politics. If I'm sometimes even at the family table, it's taboo to talk politics unless you're in your own living room and you're immediate family. Outside of that, it's very taboo to talk politics in person, in public, in general. And I just wish that people were way more, accustomed to talking politics without it having to get extremely heated. I understand this is real world stuff. This has to deal with our livelihoods, but we should still be able to have conversations on politics, and it shouldn't be as taboo as it is. Because if not, we now get into the extreme sides where we strongly disagree on a lot of different things, and the only time we come to talk about it is election time. Nah, most people should be engaging and talking about politics in general. And that's the whole point of perspective in this show, is to make politics way more accessible, make business way more accessible, because this language sometimes is just hard to understand. Like I'm about to talk about the Kash Patel, who is the FBI director. I want to talk about a little bit of the grilling that he's been having in the last couple of days on the Senate or within Congress, right? Same thing that RFK was dealing with and stuff like that. And I'm going to talk about, I might as well talk about it now. And I'm going to get back to the ABC Jimmy Kimmel maybe. But I just noticed that Kash Patel is getting roasted at the stake. RFK Jr. was getting roasted at the stake last week. And I'm over here thinking about what clarity is these conferences or whatever these hearings are providing? Isn't it supposed to be for the American people to get some clarity or the truth of what these elected officials or appointed officials have been doing? Why are these just straight screaming matches the whole time? It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that these people have positions and jobs. I had to be the most, as an intern, I had to be the most professional person ever, right? And in different workspaces, it's straight professionalism. In the Senate and the Congress, it's like they get to do and say whatever. I'll play a clip from the Kash Patel stuff, but that was really my take, because to be honest, I couldn't get an opinion from this. I couldn't get any real hard facts. The whole time Kash Patel is just dodging the questions or answering the same question with the same answer. And then you have the other people on the other side, the senators are just grilling them and asking the same stuff or creating this whole story regarding it and then just saying, all right, here's my question. It's incompetent on both ends. I don't know who's lying. I don't know who's telling the truth. So to me, it just seems like everybody's lying or everybody's playing around. I don't understand. I don't understand it, because maybe I'm just young and I'm not used to these type of hearings, but I would think the whole point is to provide clarity. None of these hearings provided clarity. The only clarity that I saw from these hearings is that these people that were appointed and or elected are kind of incompetent, because it's what type of clarity am I supposed to get? How can the average American watch and listen to one of those conferences or hearings? I don't understand. I read articles every day. Went to school for years of my life, and in college for 4 years of my life. And those are so hard for me to digest. How can anybody else digest them? I hate the fact that they allowed this to go on and act like this is like good information for us to receive. It's not good information at all. It's not information. It's just screaming. Here's one.
An FBI agent, among others. She's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it
Senator
in
Schiff.
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons
Adam Schiff
decided on their own
and Kash Patel,
without any consultation with
FBI
Blanche
director.
or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're not in
inmates.
the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show.
That is Senator Adam Schiff and FBI Director Kash Patel screaming at each other on the Senate floor. Okay, second one.
Have you asked to talk to Michael Wolff?
You raise a great point. I haven't personally asked to talk to Michael Wolff.
Has the FBI asked?
But the FBI, I'll get back to you if the FBI specifically
so Michael
asked
has
ever.
About 100 hours of testimony of Jeffrey Epstein. Wouldn't it be good for the FBI to interview Michael Wolff?
I'm not saying they haven't. I just don't know.
Has FBI subpoenaed the tapes that Michael Wolff has conducted of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
All right. So if you could provide us an answer, that would be terrific.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you this question then. Have you looked at all the photos in Epstein files?
I have looked at all the information that the investigators who investigated this case have provided to run out credible leads.
And in the Epstein files, was there that creepy birthday message that Donald Trump had written to Epstein?
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. You raise a great point. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein has a voluminous amount of information that they have not released before.
Okay, so that's great. So wouldn't it be great if FBI...
This is just who can actually come up with a clear conclusion listening to those clips? I don't understand. I don't understand. And that was just making me mad. Like, I saw him against Cory Booker. I saw him against I think Jasmine Crockett, and then Hirono, or Hirono, I don't know how to pronounce her name. And it's just like, it's screaming matches. It's just screaming matches. And these hearings just be making me uneasy. It really makes me uneasy because I don't know who to believe and I don't know who's lying. And then it just makes me feel like everybody's lying. Everybody's lying. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it just feels like that. It feels like that. So clarity, man. Clarity. Can we get some more clarity in this this day and age? In this I don't know, this thing that we going through. Let me slow it down. I hope y'all are doing good out there. I've had a good week. Had a solid week. My business, actually, I just landed another client, which is insane. So I'm doing pretty good as a business owner. If you don't know, I own a marketing agency business. So that's how I'm able to, make my money day to day. And it's been going well. It's been going well. And I gave myself 3 months in the beginning of summer to be able to, tackle this and start the business and start the show at the same time and get everything together. And it's been working. So if you're a college student out there, if you're anybody out there that is going through something, trying to figure something out or in between, just take it day by day. Keep your head in the sand. At times, come up for air. Don't forget to come up for air. It's important to be able to enjoy yourself, take some time for yourself, because, being locked in for 24/7, 25/8 is not always a good thing for your mental. I'm always the one to be like, yo, this is the lock in time. This is where I'm going to lock in. Or like, it's time to lock in, or fourth quarter's coming up, but man, your body can't always be locking in. It can't. I feel like I've been locking in for like 5 years. So just letting y'all know, I hope y'all doing good out there. If you are, put something in the comments. Let me know, or find a way to hit me up. If you have any comments about the Charlie Kirk stuff, for last episode or whatever, you could leave it down in the comments or hit me. I've been getting a lot of conversation regarding it, and to be honest, I want to find a way to talk more, like get a little bit more reception, because I just feel like a lot of stuff is getting lost in translation when I just post the clips, and I don't like that. But that's the only way to like really blow up in this day and age is clips. But it just feels like it doesn't give my full point of view, and I don't know. I don't want to lose the empathy part in my clip, and that's the whole point of it. It's just to make something that's viral enough to get people's attention. But it's like, damn, this medium alone, shout out to, forget his name. Was it Stuart Hall? No, it's somebody else, but medium is the message. Old dude, actually, from like 1900s or whatever. Medium is the message. What does that mean? It means that like whatever technology medium that something is going through, that's typically how it's decoded, or that's typically how it's like evaluated, right? So no matter what, the medium of media at the moment is just virality. It's clicks. It's sex, violence, drugs. Stuff that's going to get people's attention. And sometimes that's the only thing that's going to be received, is if I'm doing this, or if I'm broadcasting something or whatever, and the clip is going to put something out, and although the medium, although the message is the empathy portion, but the medium is always going to be received in a, damn, this shit is, it's I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but the idea is that like this clip is always going to make it polarizing, or this clip is always going to add some type of fire, and that medium, it doesn't matter the message, because the medium is fire. I hope I explained that correctly. I'm trying to make more of my stuff accessible as well. But some of these ideas they be useful, or some of these theories, or way that we decode media is useful. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to start, adding that a little bit. Now, an interesting point that my friend brought up, he was like, yo, November, tariffs are coming into the Supreme Court in question. And but it is coming up into the Supreme Court whether or not Trump was able to enact the act that he used for the tariffs. Now, the question is whether or not this is lawful or legal. And we will see in November. Now, the problem is the ramifications that it has on the economy. So far, we have taken an estimated, up until August so far, $210 billion. Those are some numbers flying around in some articles. And the estimated cost that it could have to our fiscal policy, or our long-term deficit, is $2.4 trillion. Now, you might ask, how could the debt, how could it be added $2.4 trillion and we've only taken $210 billion? It's just because that's the estimates of how much we'd make in tariffs in the next couple of years. So it's just estimated numbers. But $2.4 trillion is that's an exorbitant amount of money to add to our deficit, especially when we've been adding to our deficit for the last X amount of years. So definitely not in the way that we want it to trend. But if this were to be ruled out, if he was not lawfully able to use that act to enact tariffs, then we are going to have to pay a significant amount of money back. In addition to that, is going to add a lot to our deficit. So I'm not going to say let's hope that it doesn't get, because I don't know. Because no matter what, it's inflationary, right? It's inflationary to the American people. The American people are going to have to brunt the cost of this. So it's just, it's interesting. Is interesting, and hopefully, I think November 2 is the mayor for the New York primary. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up, and a lot of eventful things that's coming up in November. So, yeah. Another thing in business talks is interest rates were just cut this week, which is another insane point. So the idea what interest rates are is basically how it's the borrowing cost for businesses. Right. The reason why interest rates are very important is because those borrowing costs matter when it comes to the economy. The biggest companies love to do R&D, research and development. So it's a lot of money that they put in order to work on their business. A lot of businesses can't put a lot of money into R&D if borrowing costs are high. because a lot of businesses borrow money in order to run operations. So when interest rates are high during inflationary times and stuff like that, then interest rates are meant to slow down the economy. So when interest rates are high, a lot of businesses don't want to hire as much because labor costs a lot. They also don't want to add a lot more costs. So when interest rates come down or they start getting cut, like the Fed is doing, he just cut 25 basis points. When interest rates get cut, that is when the economy starts to spur back because businesses are able to borrow more. Don't let me lose you. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting, is because we don't know if the labor market is going to come back because of this AI stuff. Companies still might, of course, they might spend a little bit more when it comes to hiring, but are they going to hire in the amount of droves and numbers that they did last time or last go around? Because maybe the AI that they've implemented, or they might foresee implementing in the next couple of years, maybe they don't need that labor back. And maybe it doesn't look that bad from a consumer standpoint if I'm Apple and I don't hire as many people. Why? Because no business might be adding a lot of people. So business might be just sitting on the sideline during this time as interest rates getting cut and it's easier to borrow. They might still be sitting on the sideline when it comes to the labor market, which is why this particular point or this particular interest rate cut and this time is interesting, is because is AI ready to start taking a lot of that labor market? I don't know. We don't know. And that's why I'm interested at this time, because it's like, man, is AI ready for it? Is AI there yet to be able to start taking those jobs? And is the economy ready for it? Are people ready for it? I don't know. And I'm not here to fearmonger or nothing like that, but it's a genuine question, because I don't have that answer. I don't have that answer. And when I was doing my research, a lot of people didn't have the answer either. So yeah, man, I think at the times that we're living in, you guys pay close attention to the economy, pay close attention to politics. I understand you might have some fatigue. Trust me, that's the whole game of this right now, is to provide some type of fatigue, so nobody cares what's going on. Everybody's just sucked into their own life, and just trying to live. And trust me, I understand that. Sometimes that's why it's like social media is so hard for me, because it's a job for me. But at the same time, sometimes I just want to cut it all off, and give in to the fatigue. But that's exactly what people that are in power want you to do. Not vote, not be, tuned into politics, not be tuned into the economy, get slowly drifted out, and be able to capitalize and just get all their litigation passed through, or get all of their laws passed through without nothing or any pushback. And that's the idea, and that's the whole point of political fatigue. They're going to fatigue you. I'm fatigued. I'm over here reading a bunch of topics and stuff like that. I'm fatigued. This is crazy. This is crazy. I feel like every day it's just another form of getting pissed on, and you getting told that you're not getting pissed on. And that's where we're at. Like, I don't know. I still find it crazy that I have to explain myself when it comes to the Charlie Kirk stuff. That's crazy. That's me getting pissed on, and people telling me that I'm not getting pissed on. I'm seeing racist language, and me getting told that I'm being a snowflake. I'm seeing racist language, and then me getting told, yo, you're just taking it out of context. How much context do I need? Sorry, man. That stuff really got under my skin. Obviously. Not really, but y'all can see what it is. Is this a short episode? This might be my shortest episode yet. Okay, this was a short episode. I apologize, but guess what? It's not a podcast 10 is the next episode. And I'm just excited. I don't will there be an interview? Will there be a guest co-host? Will it just be me again? Who knows? But I'm excited to just, continue with this show. I feel like I've been getting a lot of good reception regarding just the empathy that I try to use for the people that watch the full show, not the clips. But I enjoy that. And I definitely want to continue to doing this because I just feel like we just need a collective narrative for Gen Z. We don't have any media casters or broadcasters or podcasters in this lane that's like, I don't know, that's syndicated. Like I feel like we're about to enter a new space for media for our demographic, our age demographic. We're going to see different podcasters arise. We're going to see different media names arise. I don't know, broadcasters, whatever. Yeah, I think Gen Z, we need collective narrative, collective truth. I'm not here with this bipartisan BS. Like it has to be, I'm on the left, or I'm on the right. I'm never going to claim myself as a leftist. I will never. That's not an identity to me because I don't agree with it. I'm going to look at policy. I'm going to look at people, and I'm be like, yo, I either agree with that policy or I agree with that person's rhetoric. I think that they're okay. Aside from that, man, I will never name this podcast or this show a leftist or a leftist show. No. So I just, we are sitting at an inflection point for media. Simple. An inflection point for media. Jimmy Kimmel just got canceled. Stephen Colbert, we don't know why he got canceled. They say it's a monetary reason. And cable media is basically getting hit. Lawsuits, whatever. Independent media creators have bit a little much that he could chew. It got too far away from journalism. And I think now our generation, Gen Z, is able to take a mantle where we might be able to sit in that those two sides and be able to come to a good ground, a stable ground, and be able to build some collective narrative. I don't want to make this a left versus right thing. This is not a left versus right thing. This is, to me, a right versus wrong. I like that policy. I don't like that policy. I like that person. I like that rhetoric. I don't like that rhetoric. I don't like that person. That's just how it's going to be for me. I can't claim nothing else, but I want me to start venturing more into that, root in journalism. Yeah, we could talk narrative. Yeah, we could talk story, but make sure you're coming with some type of facts. Don't try to cherry pick different facts and stuff like that. Come with some actual surmountable stuff so that it's viable. It's viable. I want viable media. I want Gen Z to start taking their claim. I'm here to take my claim. You see what I'm saying? Like, we could push media forward. We could push our industries forward, and we're going to have to. You could see regimes are toppling down right now. The only reason Jimmy Kimmel got taken down is because he was owned by private companies, and his affiliates of those private companies did not like him. Did not like what he said. You got taken down. Jimmy Kimmel should have been building Jimmy Kimmel outside of it, just like Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, he's good now. Gen Z, listen, I hope y'all paying attention. That's, I'm a media student. I think we're fine. I actually think we're in a fine position. And a lot of people are fighting it out right now. Big corporate is fighting it out. And we just need to be able to be ready to pick up them pieces. And I think media, although we've had a huge pendulum swing to where media is being attacked right now, is also opportunity points. The opportunity points is maybe we should not be looking to late night to get our news that are owned by corporations anyway. So the stuff that they say are going to be constricted. That's just how it is. But maybe independent media, journalists, not even journalists, podcasters, personalities, they're not great either. They need to start ruining their stuff in journalism. So why these places need to connect. These places need to connect. And, I think we sit at the perfect position for that. Shout out perspective, man. Shout out perspective. Okay. I'm ready to get out of here. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Be perceptive to build perspective, obviously. I will see y'all next week. And it's not a podcast. It is a show, episode 10. Love y'all. Be graceful. Have some love in your hearts. Gen Z, what's up?